ain't see me, you Stevie. Wondering how I reach more evolutions than Eevee and make it look easy.
What is up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's Blerd without fear. Welcome back to the channel. All right, so today's video, we're going to be talking about the Ultimates #1, written by Denise Camp, with art by Juan Frigeri and color by Federico Blee. So this is the Avengers of the new Ultimate Marvel Comics universe. And technically, while yes, the Avengers, also still at the same time, the Ultimates, but in the original Ultimate Marvel Comics universe, even though they weren't always called the Avengers, they were typically referred to as the Ultimates, at least from a title perspective. We all knew what they were trying to be. In this issue, while I'm not gonna lie, I liked what was going on. I'm gonna go ahead and say right now, I still criticize this team. The team is not fully assembled yet, but the team, man, it is. I said this when I talked about it on Twitter, and I'm gonna give Denise Camp time to cook, but man, this team is white, like white. Like, we know Black Panther is going to wind up joining the team at some point, but I mean, even then, still, it's still pretty white. It's still pretty white. You know, it's fine. It's whatever. I personally, if I have my druthers, I would much rather have a team that looks a lot less like it was born in the 1960s. I can see the threads. That's kind of my mutant power, or if this was like an anime, it would be my technique. I can usually see the thread, and I know that when talking to Denise Camp about this, they pretty much implied that, the team that you see like as it is right now is not the entire team, that there will be more people added. And we kind of saw, I think it was either in a free comic book day deal or like some preview or solicit or whatever, we did actually see there were going to be other people on the team that are not present in this. Right now, at this point, you only really have Iron Lad, Tony Stark, and you also have Reed Richards, who is the Doctor Doom of the new Ultimate Marvel Comics universe. And we have Thor, who is still kind of on the mend from the events of Ultimate Universe, as well as Sif, who is in tow with him. And we also see Captain America get broken out of the ice on this one. And there's some really cool moments with Captain America. There's a moment where like he realizes how long he's been frozen in ice, and it just blows his mind because, as you would imagine, a lot has changed. Not even just the fact that he's been in the ice for so long, but also the fact that the United States is not the United States as he remembers it, because in this universe, a lot has changed with that. It's not, the same, 50-state union, whatever, when he was, running around and doing his thing. It's something different now. The two main points of this book is basically, we get a time frame. Basically, we have 18 months before the Maker is going to make his big move. And right now, Tony Stark has to get together a squad that's going to be able to take the Maker down. And while some of the initial attempts kind of revolve around time travel at first, but the time travel just does not go the way that they're trying to get it to go. And we kind of learn a little bit about like some of the mass destruction that happened early on in the new Ultimate Marvel universe. And, a lot of that in some aspects, some of it is his fault, some of it's like Tony's fault, but a lot of it is actually the Makers. And if you haven't been keeping up with the new Ultimate Marvel universe, really all you need to know is, just to be able to follow anything, is that the original Ultimate Marvel universe version of Reed Richards, the Reed Richards of Earth 1610, went and pretty much recreated the Ultimate Universe. But what he did is, instead of just rebooting that universe, what he did was that he created a new one, and he redid all of the things that happened. So all the heroes that would have become heroes, they didn't become heroes, either because he stepped in and stopped the events that would ultimately lead to them becoming heroes. Like, case in point, Peter Parker being bitten by a radioactive spider. He kills the spider before the spider could even bite him. And in the cases of other characters like the Fantastic Four, well, he locked away Reed Richards and he killed the rest of the Fantastic Four. So yeah, it's stuff like that. And a lot of the heroes, as you would probably expect to see, they're not going to be there. And that just kind of is what it is on that. That said, I like what they do with this, just in terms of what they do with Ant-Man, or rather in this case, Giant Man. Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne get a different trajectory in this. And honestly, I almost kind of feel like Denise Camp went good and well out of his way to make sure that this version of Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne are night and day different for what you might expect if you were someone who was more familiar with the original Earth 1610 Ultimate Marvel Comics universe, or really even the Earth 616 universe. Hank Pym is kind of a shitty person. The Earth 616 universe, he was already kind of a shitheel, just in terms of the fact that he physically abused his wife, Janet Van Dyne. But then you also take it even a step further in the Ultimate Marvel Comics, where he basically put the beat down on his wife in ways that were just ridiculous. And just like, oh wow, you guys took a character who was already a little problematic and you made him even worse somehow. But in the Ultimates #1, this new Earth 6160, this is completely different. This is a Hank Pym who is not abusing his wife. As a matter of fact, he's, for all intents and purposes, the polar opposite of that original version of Hank Pym, and even the Ultimate Marvel Comics Hank Pym from before. And I like what they do with him. It's cool. He's just the same as with Spider-Man over in the Ultimate Spider-Man side of things. Iron Lad had to go and reach out to the heroes who he believed he would be able to get back into the fold. And, Spider-Man, Peter Parker, ultimately, he accepted. He basically got his powers back, the powers he would have had he been bitten by that spider all those years ago. In the case of Hank, he is wrestling with whether or not he wants to accept Iron Lad's offer, which is kind of funny when you consider the fact that Janet just dives right into it. Regardless of the makeup of the team, I feel like this team will eventually get where it needs to go. And I feel like if the character study of Hank Pym is the direction, that we're going to go, like, as far as like, okay, well, the next characters we introduce, are we going to study them the same way we studied Hank Pym in this issue? If that is going to be a thing, then I'm 100% in for it. It's cool because we get to see Hank kind of get an idea of who he ultimately was supposed to be before the maker changed everything, and kind of seeing all that, he recognizes that maybe it is probably for the best he doesn't get these powers. Like, maybe he should stay the course of where he's at in life, but also the call to action to fight for what's right is something that's overwhelming. It's obvious he is going to become Giant Man. I don't think there's any secret there in that, but just the idea of how he compartmentalizes whether or not he is going to accept those powers, I think makes him a cut above any version of Hank Pym I think we have seen up to this point. And if this is going to be the type of stuff that we're going to see, like the redemption of the Ultimate Marvel Comics universe, trying to be different enough from it that because that's honestly, let's be real, the Ultimate Marvel Comics universe is for the streets. That shit was terrible, and I'm sorry, it was the only really good thing the only really good thing that came out of the Ultimate Marvel Comics universe was the Spider-Man comics. By and large, Ultimate Spider-Man, that was the only really good thing. That and the maker of the Ultimate Fantastic Four, and to be fair, the Ultimate Fantastic Four, they were wild trash. But just, Reed Richards becoming the maker in that universe, that was a really cool thing. And then you had the Ultimate Spider-Man comics, which for the most part were, I would probably say, really damn good, like consistently. And then, ultimately you get to the point where Peter Parker dies and Miles Morales comes in and takes his place, and it just gets even better. In this particular instance, they're trying to do it in such a way where, spread that quality around. And also, we got Black Panther, the Black Panther comics. Well, they've kind of been losing me a little bit just in terms of like, they're almost a little too similar to the original universe. I feel like we're kind of reaching that point where I kind of need to see how they're going to separate themselves. Like, I know a lot of people like to complain about Ultimate X-Men, but here's the thing about Ultimate X-Men. Peach Momoko is doing enough that this book does not feel anything like the alternate universe, or I guess the mainline continuity. And I feel like this feels like the Ultimates of the original Marvel Comics universe, but obviously it also smacks of the Avengers as well. But at least in this, we're getting some character study. So, yeah, if it's going to be a tightrope, I'm going to give it a chance. I'm going to give this book 5 issues. Actually, no, take that back. Scratch that. I'm going to give it 3 issues. If it doesn't have me by issue 3, then we got a problem. And I don't want to have that problem because I want to like this book. I like what it's setting up. But, it's also one of those things too. I am not starved for good comics to read. So yeah, I can only go so far with this. So I'm going to give it 3 issues. I'm going to give this 3 issues. And I think that's actually more than fair, more than generous in this day and age. Because the Ultimate Marvel Comics universe as it stands right now, these Ultimates, they are pretty much just regular ass Avengers. Outside of Hank Pym, their personalities are largely the same. You can make an argument that Tony Stark is younger, but I mean, I'm gonna need some more, and we'll have to see. But man, if issue 3 ain't hitting, I'm gonna move on to something else.
You guessed it, obligatory channel outro time. If you're not subscribed to the channel, consider doing so. Clicking that subscribe button and tapping that notification bell ensures that you get more videos just like this one, and you don't miss any of my other content that I drop throughout the week, plus my live streams every Thursday and Saturday. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure you click that like button, keep it plus ultra, and sound off in the comments.